how do you craft a winning sales message? How do you craft a winning sales video? How do you sell through a sales letter, or sell on Facebook, or sell on stage? That is a secret to selling that people overlook. So I thought through, how could I fit on one page the fundamentals of a pitch that works, a sales presentation, a video, any of the delivery systems. So I'm gonna go through that with you guys, and you should take notes on this, each step. So step one, address the biggest problem that they're having. Remember, when people say direct mail doesn't work, that just means that the words on the paper didn't work, or you mailed it to the wrong people. You know that old saying, a $100 bill and a dollar bill are printed on the same piece of paper. It's the message on the paper. And we'll go a little deeper on how important the words are, the messaging, the marketing, whether you're writing it or saying it. It's always about the message, always. So when you start a sales presentation, when you start a letter, if you start with that question, if you start with that big problem, it allows them to stop immediately. They have your intrigue. So that's step one. So step two is follow up by making a big promise on how you can solve that problem. Now what that is in marketing, and I never knew this as a term, but in marketing that's called an open loop. Robert Cialdini calls it the mystery. So think about it in right now, at your home right now, as we're going through this. What is that, number one, step one, what is that big question or that big problem your potential clients are facing? And two, what is the promise that you can make and that can relieve that problem or answer that question that you asked? But I never start with introducing myself. I never start with, hi, I'm Dean Graziosi. I'm a New York Times bestselling author. I'm this, I'm that. Because to me, there's just so much noise out there. I first want to know, what the hell can this guy in front of my face, on this paper, on stage, what can he do for me, and how does he understand me? By asking that question, I'm not trying to beat this up too much, by asking the question, talking about the problem, and tell him the one thing that can fix it, or the 7 things that can fix it, you have my attention. So step 3 is now introduce yourself. I introduce myself, but give your credentials, give why you have the cred to do this, but also in a humble way. Share your experience and your background, your knowledge to them, so it doesn't come across bragging. Yes, yet it gives them the confidence that you know what you're talking about. Tell them why you're confident and have the ability to share that message, and anchor this by telling them a personal breakthrough story or the epiphany why you discovered it. Now, that sounds like a lot, but basically what you want to do is introduce yourself and why you are an expert to give them that ability and how you discovered it. You know, Noah, in the real estate space, right? You're introducing yourself. Hey, this is Noah. I don't know how long you've been in business, but no, I've been doing real estate for 14 years or 12 years, and I know what it's like. You know, I've been doing, introduce you. I've been doing real estate for 12 years. I've amassed $10 million, $100 million, whatever the number is in sales. And during that journey, I realized what was wrong. I realized when I was stressed, and one day it hit me. I realized I was doing it all wrong. I realized that in real estate, and especially in commercial real estate, you have to do X, Y, Z. I finally realized I need to share this, right? So now all of a sudden you got the big question, you got the big hook, and now you introduce yourself in a humble way. Like what I'll say a lot of times is, hey, this is Dean Graziosi. If you don't know me, I'm a New York Times bestselling author, and I've touched the lives of millions of people. I've been on TV, but really none of that matters. What matters is that I discovered a way. I was that broke kid, and I found a way to break through that. And I found a way to go faster and easier, and I have the ability to share recipes. So I hope my biggest goal today is to give you those recipes, to give you that system, to give you that. So the more humble you can brag about yourself, the better, because people do want to learn. And I have to tell you, I went years trying to find and do videos without introducing myself, because I always felt like it was bragging when I say New York Times bestselling author and this and that, and I felt like it was bragging. Hands down, every time you don't credentialize yourself and tell them why you're an authority, the numbers go down. They just do every time. I've never been able to beat the control without telling them who I am. So obsess, you at home, obsess on a way. And again, if you're just starting something new, you are an expert in something. If you're turning your passion into profits, or your expertise into profits, or your business, you are an expert in something. Tell them why. You know, I'm going to use this as a reference in my Larry King show. The first version, I didn't tell my story coming out of the gate. We did the new version, and I came out of the gate and said, I said, you know, I was back in upstate New York recently, and I took a trip down memory lane, and I filmed the trailer I lived in with my mom. I filmed the house where I was living in a bathroom with my dad, and I had this on footage literally on my cell phone, right? And I took him a journey, like this is where I lived, and I worked out of this old rundown garage, and I said, but then I had an epiphany. I just said it like that. I had an aha moment of the habits my family had kept them all broke. There was no one in my family I knew that had money, no one that seemed happy. And I realized the habits of successful, happier people were just different. And when I acknowledged that, I knew that that was going to be my obsession, to find the habits to be successful. So now not only do they know your story and your credibility, they know that you were once where they are. And now I'm just talking in the success world. So you ask the big question, you address their problem, you made a big promise, so you open loop or the mystery, and then you introduce yourself with credentials. Next, I kind of went on to number 4, but next you're going to share how you discovered this, right? That's kind of during the epiphany. And when you talk, the part that I want to share with you guys even at home, I'm reading my own notes because I don't want to miss any of this, is talk so their prospect, the person you identified that you want to be a hero to, talk in their language. But what happens, the more knowledge we get, we don't realize we change our vocabulary. We change the way we think. We change the way we talk. You know, you get talking to somebody about, oh yeah, I just do a Facebook ad, and I drop them in a ClickFunnels funnel. I do an opt-in, and then if they opt out, I follow them along the way, and I make sure I build reciprocity, and loop them back in. Like you say that, and you're thinking that's what we talk about every day, and everybody else is like, what the heck are you talking about? Or you say, I put out a bandit sign, then I send them to answer one that does the phone script. They do an inbound call. Then, like, you don't realize we start talking tech talk. Tech talk never works, and never talking about what they need works. What we have to do is talk where they are. Put yourself where they are I said, there's a saying I used to think all the time before I wrote copy, before I did a video, before I went on stage, before I'd consult. I've been blessed to consult with companies that took my strategies and went on and did amazing things. I always say, make it so low the goats can eat it. How do you make it easy? How easy is it to buy something on Amazon? I mean, it's like I need paper towels at my house. No, not even that. I have Alexa. It's like, Alexa, order paper towels, and they just show up the next day because she's hooked up to Prime, right? If you look at that, his whole focus was easy. You could get into talking tech talk about Amazon till you're blue in the face, but it's just easy and it's simple, and that's all they ever promote. So you have to think of that in your business, is how do I keep it simple? How do I talk where they are? Meaning you want to speak to them about your product, service, or offering with a dialogue and mindset that fits where they currently are, not where you are. So remember that in your message. Okay, step 5 in crafting the message is, throughout the video or throughout your presentation, address their fears and overcome their objections that they will have in advance. Go back to when you were in that spot. When you remember those fears, you can address them in advance. So by the time they get to the end, they don't have objections. And if they do, you go refer right back to what you brought up. Also, social proof. It's a great time. And later on, I want to talk about how to capture social proof. But it doesn't matter what business you're in. When you serve someone, when they're at the peak of their happiness, when someone uses your supplements or uses your fix, when someone uses your ideas on how to invest in real estate or whatever, how to be a better entrepreneur, when they buy your product, when they're the happiest, that is the time you get a referral or you get social proof from them. The more social proof that you have that it works, the quicker those people can overcome your objections, the objections that your potential client has in advance. The foundation of selling and marketing is letting people feel understood. So when you're getting ready to go into your presentation, to have them get your house, get this book, get this information, get your course, get the supplements, get the advertising, wedding planning, whatever it is that you're doing, let them know you understand where they are at this moment. And then this is the part which most people will mess up. And it's the transition between giving value, the excitement. The first time you do this, you'll feel this. You have a different change in your physiology when you go from, oh my God, this, oh my God, that. You can't say this. You're talking the benefits of your product, the benefits of your service, what you've done. You're overcoming their objections. You're talking about if they don't take action, if they stay stagnant, if they don't get your information, then all of a sudden you got to sell. You got to go to the call to action, the CTA, the thing that you want them to do. You want them to use your service, eat your food, get your real estate stuff, whatever it is, get the equipment that you're selling, right? And I watch people's physiology change on stage. I've been blessed to do a lot of live events, and you'll watch somebody in this hour presentation, and I know immediately when they're going to sell because I'll watch everything change. They turn into a different person. Like, oh, and now you can get my product. And they go to the PowerPoint. They fumble. Their tonality changes. I encourage you to change that thought process, to Trick yourself. Do whatever it takes to be excited about the time you get to sell, because nothing happens without the sale. Nothing moves forward without the sale. You can't help anybody unless you sell. So what I've trained my brain to do is when I get closer to the sale, I get more enthusiastic. I get more energy. I can't wait to ask for their credit card, because I know if they don't give me my credit card, I'm doing one of two things. I'm letting them go to my competitors, and they're not going to be treated as good as they would if they were with me, or they'd eat the wrong food, or they'd get the wrong advertising, or they'd have the wrong copy, whatever it is, they'd have the wrong stuff, or they would do nothing and their lives would stay exactly where they are. So when you think about that, it's like, if I don't get their credit card to get my product or service, they're going to give it to somebody else, or they're not going to do anything with their life, and I did them a disservice. So I found a way to get excited about when I can transition from kind of sharing benefits and what they get to the product or the service that I'm offering. And what I'd recommend to you guys is using a bridge. So use a bridge from all the things we talked about and all the benefits to bridge into the actual call to action. So what's a bridge? I've used a lot of great things. I've used and I say used, I don't want you to think this is a trick. This isn't like a hook to make people do something they don't want. This is to get people to take action and not stay still. So many people want more out of life. They talk about it, but they don't take action. It's my job to get them to take action. Only if, like I said in the beginning of this course, if I'm completely obsessed with knowing that if they get what I offer in their hands, it improves their life. Find a bridge that you're comfortable with. Make it so you can't wait. Lean into the sale. Lean into what you want. And if you don't feel that passionate about what you're selling, go fix what you're selling, because that's the only way you can get the true passion to come out. So once you have that bridge and you go into the call to action is where you want to flow into and start giving the benefits of what they'll feel or get by getting your product or service. Again, I say this, and I really want you to remember this. This is the same thing you're going to be doing if you want to rise up through the ranks and get a promotion. It's the same exact thing. You have to sell the person who's making that decision. But in the call to action, I see so many times when people go to sell is they talk options, not benefits. Think about this. If I was trying to sell you, every car has air conditioning now, but it wasn't that long ago that air conditioning was an option. So if I was going to sell you air conditioning, I could say, hey, when you're getting this car anyway, you can get air condition. And do you know air condition? It's so cool the way it's made. Air condition has Freon that runs through these tubes. And then they have these little fins on them. And then what they do, the fan from the engine blows on the fins. The Freon gets really cold. It pumps through this whole process and comes through the back of your dashboard. And then a fan blows the cold air out. I could say that, or I could say, hey, this car has an option for air condition. When it's hot out, you can be cold inside your car. One is options, one is benefits. Who cares about how it works? No one cares how air conditioning works. They want to know, if you want to sell headlights, you can talk about all the mechanisms of headlights and how Edison discovered the light bulb and it evolved to this little tiny thing. Or you could just say, when it's dark, you can see. Who cares about anything else? So be careful when you go into the call to action. You don't get sucked into your own tech talk. Don't get sucked into your own obsession with your product and how people just want to know, if I take that, do I feel better? Do I look better? And do I get results? So just talk benefits in the call to action. Be clear, and then make sure you tell them what you want them to do. If it's a video, I want you to click the button on this page. If it's in a direct mail piece, I want you to call this number. If it's face-to-face, this is what we could do right now. Don't be afraid to tell them what you want them to do, because now you told them the story, you told them the benefits, you're in the call to action. Now you got to give them the next assignment on how they get your product, your service, your course, or whatever it is in their hands. And I ended this with something we already talked about. I said, lastly, this was step 8. Lastly, make sure to smile, be happy, and live the experience to the best of your ability. Enthusiasm and authenticity outweigh perfection and pitches and overstructure. So I think what we can sometimes do to ourselves is say, am I crafting the perfect pitch to present to my boss so I get the raise, or to present to a new partner to give me the money to start this startup, or to my mom so we go into this business, or to the client, or to anyone. We always think we have to be over-prepared, when really it boils down to these fundamentals and living it with enthusiasm, authenticity, and letting them know you know where they are. That is a secret to selling that people overlook.